Welcome to another episode of Roadman Reviews.
You know what? I'm not going to do it this time. You want to know why? Because this movie has done a lot to me, but yeah. Anyway, welcome to another episode of Roadman Reviews. Joined here by Mufi today. How you doing, Mufi? You okay?
No, I'm not too bad. Very tired today, but not too bad.
And tell the guys, Mufi, what we're going to be talking about today.
So this is going to be one of the probably worst reviewed movies, maybe of all time. But maybe. We thought we'd go with the Emoji movie that recently came out, but we realised.
You don't want to waste our time with that, do you? Really?
No, we'd rather waste our time with another crapper movie. That movie is, we've talked about it for the past 5 episodes. Batman vs Superman. There you go, I said it. Or
you send shivers down my side every time you say
Ball
that.
versus shit, or BS.
Yeah.
BS.
I like that.
BS, yeah. So this movie came out last year. It raised 800 million odd.
I think just over around about 800 million worldwide.
They were aiming for about $1 billion.
Not the best kind of critical reception out there. Some people liked it, hands out to those people. Some people did like it.
I think when the critics came out to it, because before the movie came out, there was a lot of hype.
Obviously.
A lot of hype over that movie. I mean, it was. Prior to that, there was like a long gap of no movies. Remember? And that was the movie. That was the only movie and the first movie that we watched at midnight in cinema.
Yeah.
Remember?
We're going to be talking about that, yeah.
I don't know why we did.
You know what? When you guys watched it and now what?
Oh, hi Ahmed.
Yeah, we forgot to introduce
Ahmed.
Wonder Woman himself. Mr. Ahmed.
I wasn't there for the film. I wasn't introduced.
You just walked in.
Just had bad memories for us all around this one.
We were just distracted by the movie. What were you saying, Ahmed?
No, I mean.
How are you, first of all?
Oh, thank you. I'm good.
That's good.
Excited for this one.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm actually excited.
Okay.
I'm dying to see Fahed's darker side on this.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth mentioning, guys. I've actually got a full list today.
He's got a full. Yeah, I didn't bother because my comment would have been crap.
Well, I guess one of the things we will say today is, we are going to be fair to the film. We're not just going to be bashing the film for no reason. If there are positives of the film, we'll obviously be talking about them. But, we always keep it real with you guys. We can give you guys our honest opinion on kind of things.
And I would also say, when we say the film, in our eyes, there's only one version.
Yeah.
The extended version.
That's right. We have to mention that because the movie that came out, the 2.5 movie, we were just so disappointed with it. We were just waiting for the extended movies to come out, which made more sense than the movie.
Yeah.
And that was broadcasted in cinema. But yeah, it was not to the expectation that we expected, basically.
I mean,
so go on.
Yeah, sorry. Just a quick question for you guys, maybe to give the audience our background, just very, very quickly. I mean, quick question for you two. When you grew up, who did you prefer? Were you more of a Batman fan when you were younger? Were you more of like a Superman fan?
Batman, probably, I'd say.
Yeah?
Only because I had more exposure to Batman Beyond. You had the Batman animated series. You had the Batman Michael Keaton version. It was one of the first videos I had. I'd probably say Batman overall. I had more. Superman in that era, you've got to remember, film-wise, we missed it. What's his name?
Christopher Reeve. Come on now.
Go on.
We've missed his era, and we only had the animated series, and we had Smallville and things like that later on. I'd probably say Batman.
No, for me it was, from what I grew up on, basically, the animated versions of Batman on CITV, all that stuff. I don't remember the channels now. But as a kid, I remember watching Superman 1, 2, 3.
General Zod.
Yeah, on Channel 5 in the evening. And Smallville, of course, which came out early 2000s or whenever it was. So that's what I grew up on, and I do like Batman.
Yeah.
And right now, I'd say Batman. But as a kid, I was more exposed to Superman.
Yeah, I'd kind of agree with you as well. I'd say maybe Superman edges it slightly for me, just because he is the definition of what a superhero is. You know what I mean? If it wasn't for him, there would be no other. So you're always gonna have a soft spot.
True.
That being said, obviously Batman's probably a little bit more the interesting character. But
I do want to mention that I used to have videos of Adam West's Batman.
Oh, rest in peace, Adam West. Rest in peace, Adam West. You legend.
To be fair, yeah, they were quite good.
Yeah.
Stupid but good. Anyway, we can move on now. So today, as we mentioned, we're going to review Batman vs Superman. So this is a movie where Batman and Superman first come together in a movie. They introduce Wonder Woman, Lex Luthor, played by Jesse Eisenberg.
Yep. Spoiler warning as well, obviously we'll be talking about.
Yeah.
This is only spoiler version.
Yeah.
There's nothing to spoil though, but yeah.
There's nothing to spoil. And at the end, you've got Doomsday, who plays a villain. That in itself encompasses what the movie is. It's a 2-3 hour. The extended version is a 3 hour movie. The cinema version 2.5 hours. What I just mentioned is basically what happened in the movie.
Well, the trailers kind of gave it away before it came out.
So yeah. So in the trailers, you see Batman and you see Superman and you see the suits. You see the car. You see. That's it really. And the movie, you see the car. You see the suit. That's it really.
This is going to be very enlightening.
So let's move on anyway. So I just want to ask you guys about the movie. Okay, let's start with positives because I think that might be quite quick.
Yeah.
Okay. So what were your positives of the movie, or in general? Okay, what did you think of the movie first of all?
Yeah.
And what were the positives of the movie?
You want me to go first?
Also,
how much time do you have for this guy? Well, I'll tell you what. I'll try and be brief. So. Bit of background about the film. Ahmed would probably chime in with this as well. So I remember it was Comic-Con 20. When was it? What was the Comic-Con after Man of Steel? 2013, wasn't it? Comic-Con when they announced Batman vs Superman.
Yeah.
So as soon as that happened, I messaged Ahmed and I think I messaged Muffin and some of the other guys as well, geeking out over like, oh my god, this is the first time Batman and Superman are going to fight in a film. It's going to be amazing. Mm-hmm. Just to give you a background, I really like Man of Steel. I think it's a really, really good film. Yeah. So I was obviously very, very pumped, very happy with Henry Cavill. Ben Affleck was announced as Batman. I know he had a lot of sort of flack for that. Mm-hmm. I was actually really happy with it. I thought he was going to be, a solid choice for being Batman because he's got the height. He's a very underrated actor, I think, as well. Anyway, moving on from that, like you said, all the trailers came out. We were really pumped. We'd kind of conversate for like months on end on these trailers, and then opening night happened. And as Muffy said, it was one of the first films, probably the first film that we went to go watch at midnight, and I walked in there, a young man with a twinkle in his eye, with a wall on his shoulders, expecting the best, and I left as though my heart had been trampled into a billion different pieces. I was, honestly, initial thoughts was I was very, very disappointed with the film. I mean, I'm not giving a rating for the theatrical version. We're obviously talking about the Ultimate Edition, but the theatrical version for me was straight up just a 3 out of 10. Yeah. I'll tell you that now. Very disappointing, but again, to give you my positives, because there are some positives in all films. First of all, Ben Affleck. Yeah. I think in terms of his performance as Bruce Wayne and Batman, so everything he brings to the table is fantastic. He shows emotion, he shows anger. This is the angriest Batman we've seen, so he's obviously does a very, very good job. Gal Gadot, I'm not sure how you say her name. But she, even though she's in a very tiny role in this film, she doesn't really get to act too much in this film. Yeah. She does a very good job as Wonder Woman in the scenes that she's given. Yeah. The action is very, very good, I think, in the film. It's because Zack Snyder films, you'll never really have a problem with the action. It's always choreographed very, very well. Alfred as well, he's obviously fantastic in this film as well. No problem. Jeremy Irons, you can add him to anything, it'll make everything good. The music as well, Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL did a fantastic job with the score, I think. They kind of really brought things to the table. I mean, reinventing the Superman theme was hard enough, but reinventing 2 great Batman themes from Danny Elfman and from Hans Zimmer previously, did a really, really good job there. And overall, the CGI is okay. I mean, there are some scenes where the CGI gets a little bit too heavy, but overall the CGI is pretty good. So those are kind of some of the positives that I have about the film. But obviously we'll talk about negatives a little bit later on. So hand over to any of you guys.
So I haven't Fred mentioned actors and you mentioned music, and
I agree with all of that. I think all the things you've mentioned, same. For me, there were moments in the film. So there were moments in the film where, for me, it was really good. Intro, I loved it.
Oh yeah.
The intro was, for me, but looking back at it now, I think it's the best way you could have started it. Telling that same scene, but from Batman's point of view. You had a couple of other intros during the film, which were perfect. You had the one Kevin Costner. It talks about he's telling him consequences. You can do everything you can, genuinely speaking, but you're not God. You're not perfect.
The warehouse scene, the fighting. Yeah,
exactly. And then also the scene where that 1%, when Batman says to Alfred, that 1% chance, we've got to take it. It shows you how grizzled almost he's become Batman. He's been so long a hero. He's seen the good people die and etc. And he's gotten to the point where he's lost hope in the film. And another point, watching it again, looking at it, I'll come back to it at the end actually, but the concept of hope towards the end, I think I liked. It was very dark at the beginning, very bleak, and then at the end you can tell the tone and the way it's going towards. But other than that, and the things that I've agreed with him, and again I agree with Fahad, Man of Steel was good. It was a very good film.
It was, For me,
There's gonna be something you like about it. Maybe.
Yeah, I know I'm trying to think. So let's talk about Ben Affleck. I think as an actor, like you mentioned, a lot of people thought, why him? But that's expected when you get a new guy that's not been Batman before. He's not been necessarily a superhero before, apart from
Deadpool.
I know that. I wasn't even going to mention it. That's a crap movie. We might review that later on, actually. But anyway, so I thought he was a good actor. Henry Cavill, of course, is a very good actor. There were a couple of scenes, the fight scene in the warehouse that you discussed. There was a couple of scenes, but which we also saw in the trailer that we saw in the movie. Yeah. So the moment where Superman stops the Batmobile, was sick, which was pretty sick, and he sort of rips off the top. The introduction of Wonder Woman. I'm trying to think now.
I'm really racking your brain, aren't you? For this
I am, yeah. There's not a lot that I remember of the movie because I think you guys watched it recently.
Yesterday.
I didn't bother because it's 3 hours of my life that I'll try to get back. But in general, it to be fair, it's one of the movies that I can't really grasp a great detail of positiveness from it. It's just really difficult. Yeah. But saying that, do you want to move on to what was not so good with it?
Oh boy. Okay. So I'll tell you what. I've got in front of me. I've got like a long list of things that I wrote down yesterday when I was watching the film that I didn't like. And what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna sort of fanboy out here. I'm a fan of Marvel films. I'm a fan of DC films. I love the Dark Knight trilogy. I think they're the best superhero films ever made. Yeah. I love all the Marvel movies. I love Civil War and stuff. So with all my criticisms, I wanted this film to be great, but unfortunately it wasn't. And a lot of hard people did a lot of hard work on this film, but sometimes films just don't turn out that way. So I'll go. Because I've got quite a long list of problems here, they're probably going to be very similar to the problems that you guys have as well, so feel free to jump in as I'm going through these ones as well. So the first point I wrote here is, actually the biggest problem I've got with the film, honestly, is the structure. Yeah. I think the structure and the pace of the film is all over the place. Mm-hmm. So it wants to be like an exciting film. It starts off with a great action sequence, I believe, and running through the city, and then there's a massive lull. There are great individual scenes, but the individual scenes don't tie into the other scenes well for some reason. Then they're dragged. For all of a sudden, you have some scenes that feel like they're dragging, other scenes where you want more information but it cuts short. All of that kind of stuff as well. So that's kind of my major big problem with the film. It just doesn't flow well. The pace is all over the place. That's kind of my major one. The other problems then are, it's overly pretentious. I think the first line in the film is something about it's Ben Affleck saying, and they took me towards the light or something like that right at the beginning when he's a kid and he goes up in the nightmare. They took me towards the light, and it just put a weird it's almost like the writer of this film, Chris Terrio. I know he's a good writer. He wrote Argo, but it's over potentially. Yeah, why these characters don't speak like real people? I mean, no one speaks like that in real life. We want to get to know who these people are, but it's like we're taking the artistic view of these characters. The film is no fun. It's got no real humour to it, no fun to it. If you look at a film like Kingsman, it's snappy, it's fun, the dialogue, you get to know all the characters. Whereas this, it's just like a drag, and because the film's a drag, you just really don't relate to the characters, apart from Batman, who's like the one kind of guy.
And that's probably one of the steps where one of the things I'd jump in as well. I don't know what they wanted to do with the characters. You've got, for example, I realised this yesterday watching it again, Lois Lane and Clark Kent's relationship. I can't. If she were to die, a Flash comes back saying, "Oh, save her, she's the key." If she were to die in that film, I would have had no impact on me.
Yeah.
And Superman has no right to to have an impact on him. And I was actually counting, and she was actually in 2 meaningful scenes. The scene where at the beginning she's in the bath and he jumps in. There was a scene on the balcony where after the Capitol blew up, and at the end when he's about to sacrifice himself.
Yeah.
Those are the only 3 scenes, probably a minute each, of meaning. Other than that, doesn't make sense. Continuing with the writing and structure, again, why on earth some of these scenes happen? I didn't understand that scene where Lex Luthor and the Senator, she comes to his house. What was the purpose of it? I didn't understand anymore why Lex was doing what he was doing.
Yeah.
I didn't understand, is there a reason for her? No.
Why does Lex hate Superman so much?
Exactly. Why is he obsessed with it? The whole scene, for me, it's issues like that. They could have taken that scene, binned it. And I was thinking about doing the film. What they could have done instead was the gentleman, the guy who lost his legs.
Yeah.
He got put in prison.
Turn him into a tallow.
Not even that.
Like that.
I wouldn't even do that.
No?
If you want to actually have, if the purpose of this film is to have these 2 guys against each other, you need Superman to die himself and Batman to hate him. That's how it was going to work. The perfect way would have been take that scene out where she comes and they have the weird convo. Have Clark Kent, because there's hardly any Clark Kent, face the guy in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
Have a dialogue like that, have a scene like that where Clark Kent is watching what he's done, because it is indirectly his fault. That would have had more of an impact than, you can call it Granny Peach and Mop Tea and all of that shit. So, it's very frustrating. But it's things like that.
I mean, everything makes sense. Like, yeah, just I've got a point here that relates back to that a little bit later on. But Mufi, I mean,
I was just gonna say, like you said, the main issue is sitting in that movie. I remember it now. I literally sat there thinking, what is going on?
Yeah.
What literally? This is a movie. And I was thinking about it earlier. Actually, it reminded me of Inception, but Inception was clear.
Yeah. Which makes
which is so the way Inception was produced was to make it like what's going on.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
But that made more sense than Batman vs Superman, which I feel like unintentionally, it wanted to make sense.
Yeah.
But it didn't.
I think it was
just too much.
From going off of the point of like the structure and the story and the pace, I think all of that main problem all kind of relates back to the point of, okay, the script needed another pass. Yeah. It's clear the script needed another pass. Ideally, what I would have done is set a standalone film of Superman versus the Elite, which I've talked to Ahmed about before. Well, maybe we'll do an episode about our potential films and stuff. Really interesting. I won't go into that now. A solo Batman under the Red Hood story, and then you bring them together as to why they kind of hate one another and all that kind of stuff. That would make perfect sense. But the script just kind of needs another pass, and this film is overstuffed as well. There's just too. It's not the fact that they've got too many characters in the film, it's just that the characters don't do anything. I mean,
just to stop you there, for example, in its core, when you got told Batman vs Superman movie, what were you thinking? You got told we're doing Batman Superman 2016. What was the first thing that came into your head?
That there'd be an actual story behind it.
That they fight each other.
That they would
dislike each other.
Yeah.
There's a reason they're going to fight. Instead,
there is no reason.
When you first got announced, you'd think to yourself, Batman vs Superman, they're going to do an epic story. They're going to put a lot of effort into it, a lot of thought behind it, and the story is going to match what people want it to match. Or even if it doesn't, there's still a lot of thought behind it. But I just felt like they produced it, and it's as if they thought, okay, let's get rid of that bit. We'll get rid of that bit. We'll get rid of that bit. We've got 3 hours. Another 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. And the bit where he has his sort of daydream nightmare sort of thing with Flash came.
What is the point of having them?
What was that about? Like literally
5 minutes and for no reason.
I think I remember turning around to one of you guys and thinking to myself, like,
what the fuck is going on?
What is going on? Like, it doesn't make sense.
To be fair, if the story was flowing up to that point, I would have thought, building cinema. But when he's telling you, Lois is the key. No, she's not. We've only watched it for 2 minutes.
And you know what? You know what the worst thing is as well, guys? Is the fact that we're talking about the Ultimate Edition.
Yeah.
In the cinema, it was even worse because all the scenes that kind of tied some of these things together were out of the film, so it made it even kind of worse.
Yeah.
I mean, carrying on with my list, I mean, the next kind of major problem I have is there's no respect for the comics and the characters in here. And what I mean by that is this. So, Superman, as you said, if you were to write a list of Superman's characteristics, optimistic, hopeful, smiling, happy all the time, that's kind of his guy. He brings out the best in people. People want to look up to him. In this film, and it's no fault of Henry Cavill. I know that he got a lot of flack for this film, saying that he's wooden. I don't think that. I think it's more writing than anything else. Yeah, he just looks like he just doesn't want to be there. He looks like, why am I having to save people? I don't want to be Superman. At the end, and it's like, I honestly think Superman has less lines in this film than kind of maybe Lex Luthor, maybe Alfred, all of those things. Barely speaking. You don't get to know him in the film, which is horrible.
You remember the fact Spider-Man in Civil War had more lines than Henry Cavill in Batman vs.
Oh, wow. And
Spider-Man had 25 lines better than him.
And that was another thing that I didn't
that's
like.
the theatrical version, by the way.
Yeah.
Extended, I hope he beat that.
Yeah.
The fact that you don't even get to know who Superman is.
And if you don't care about the
how
characters,
Superman developed, how Batman developed, how there's no story, there's no conversation between the two.
I mean,
and even when they meet, there's hardly a conversation between the two.
The first time they meet, you've, for God's sake, if you're following this guy, you're following this Batman story, thinking he's a villain, and you just come there, you're like, oh, don't. Same thing you were saying, he doesn't want to be there, just don't show up. Okay, Bat is dead.
Why does he care though? You know what I mean? It just goes back to, if they just have a normal conversation and actually talk about things, and there's no need for this film. They can just anyway. I'm getting pumped up, Ahmed. Get pumped up now. Okay. When I'm talking about no respect for the comics as well, Batman, I had a serious problem with Batman in the film. Now Ben Affleck gives a fantastic performance in this film. It isn't any problem with him.
Yeah.
But the problem is, why is Batman killing people? Like, I understand it's in the background, okay, maybe Robin died, that's the reason why he's killing people. And I know that I said in the Dunkirk review, sometimes I like to kind of see things as opposed to having things written down.
Yeah.
But when it's a brand new adaptation of Batman, where the last version of Batman, Christian Bale's Batman, which was very successful, made a vow, I don't kill people, it's not what I do, no guns, no killing people. And then all of a sudden, you see fucking Ben Affleck mowing people down in his Batmobile and Batplane and everything like that. That doesn't make any sense. And I read Zack Snyder's comment on it as well, and Zack Snyder was like, oh, he doesn't really kill people, they die by proxy, so the guy who threw the grenade at him, it ricocheted back and it killed him and stuff. It's like, no, it's still kind of nice.
There was the guy who threw, was it the boxer in his head?
Yeah.
What?
Exactly. It's just like, so no respect for the comics in that sense, and no respect for the comics in the sense of the storyline as well. What I understand doing Dark Knight Returns, okay, you want to do all Grizzly Batman, that makes sense. But why are you doing Death of Superman as well at the same time? Don't cram two storylines into the one thing. It's just, they needed their own individual story. They needed time to breathe. That's kind of what I mean by no respect for the comics. I already talked about no one talks like a normal person. Story is too overcomplicated. That's another major problem. I think we talked about it a little bit. But what I mean by that is, okay, the white Portuguese has a kryptonite on there. Batman's going to go and break in, and then Batman doesn't like it. But it's all Lex Luthor's plan overall. No. Don't worry about all of that kind of stuff. If you really want it to be complicated, look at what Civil War was all about. If you don't want to compare it to Marvel, but we have to. It's about Bucky, Iron Man, Captain America, Bucky. That's the reason, you know what I mean? It could be something very, very simple, whereas the guy in the wheelchair, he could have been Jimmy Olsen, for example, who was killed off in the beginning of the film for some reason. Superman sees the good in him, or Batman sees the good in him, Superman doesn't, and he turns into Metallo or something in the end, and that's kind of what the fight was over and all that kind of stuff. Just humanise it, but no, you've got all these other story strands about, like you said, Granny's peach tea, all this other fucking shit. Wonder Woman, although I liked her in the film, she didn't really need to be in it. You could have... so that's kind of what I mean by that.
That structure bit. I think the thing is, I know you mentioned how you didn't like what they did with Batman and stuff. I think they genuinely missed a trick here. Okay, Batman's killing. This Batman, everyone knows he's a depressed guy. Yeah. So he's not the Batman we know. This guy's depressed. He's lost Robin. Joker's laughing at him. Whatever. He's suffering from probably PTSD. All sorts. What they could have really done with is have Superman as this emblem of hope, and in the film ending with Batman coming back into the fold. Yeah. But instead, like you've said, where they could have kept it simple, they've convoluted it, they've twisted it, and things in the story don't even make sense. Like, for example, why on earth, when did Lex even know Clark Kent was Clark Kent? Superman. When, let's invite you to an event, and blah, 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 blah. You've got the world's greatest detective who doesn't realise he's being played. And it's things like that, but I'll let you continue.
I don't know what to say. Generally, it's just poor. Yeah, it's just a poor performance by the movie. I don't know.
It's well, I guess one of the other things as well that was really interesting was that Batman vs Superman came out, I think, a week or two before Daredevil season 2. And if you remember, there was a scene in Daredevil season 2 where Punisher and Daredevil were on the top of a building, talking to one another, talking about their problems, talking about the differences. Although they're on the same side, they have different ways of looking at the world. And Daredevil's trying to stop the Punisher. And then I remember after watching the second season, I was like, that's what Batman vs Superman should have been. On the same side, but see things differently. Have a fight maybe in the middle of the film, and then at the end, and then team up together towards the end. Whereas this, there was like maybe 2 hours of build up, a fight that lasted maybe 5 minutes, and the fight was good, but it lasted like 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden, okay, now we got to fight Doomsday. You know what I mean? That was just kind of
the first 2 hours of the movie maybe was just like a long credit scene.
Yeah.
With scenes that don't make sense, man.
Yeah. It's basically the start of the movie is basically 2 hours of trailers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
build it.
A trailer that's just 5 minutes, and then it's like, oh, we'll watch another trailer for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then you see Batman vs Superman, and they're both angry at each other.
No one knows why.
I don't think they know why. That's the thing. They're fighting, and Superman's like, I'll fight you, and Batman's like,
you know what?
I'll fight you as well, and Batman's there with his new modified suit to fight Superman.
To be fair, to give him a fair point, watching the extended version, I can understand why Batman hates Superman.
Yeah, I
can understand why Superman doesn't like him, but it was so underdeveloped. You've got a scene, and I have to point to scene now because it pissed me. Yesterday it hit me again, thinking why. You've got a scene. We don't know why Lex Luthor's doing what he's doing, by the way. At this point, this is about a good 2 hours in the film. He's got Zod's body in the water, and he starts crying, saying, "Oh, you flew too close to the sun." Why is Lex Luthor bothered by Zod?
Why does he care about him? I mean, a second ago he was talking about how devils come from the sky.
Why is he all of a sudden feeling?
How does that story even make sense?
It goes back to the film trying to be over pretentious again for no reason. It wants to be like an art film. It wants to be thingy. I mean, one of the things I wrote down here is, again, don't get to know the characters. Like, I mean, sorry, going back to your point, I understand why Batman would kind of be pissed off at Superman. If they did tweak things a little bit, it would have made sense. But Superman, it literally makes no sense for him to want to fight Batman. Until 2 minutes before he's fighting Batman, that's the reason why he's going to fight Batman. Yeah. And then if he just has a conversation with him, it's like, no, my mom's here. He tried to. Okay, fair enough. In the first minutes he tried to, but Superman could stop Batman like that if he wants to. Rip off him, just talk to him and thingy like that. And it goes back to underdeveloping the characters. I wrote this down, and I want to see if you guys agree with this. Do you think that this film is more of a film about what people think of Superman and what people think of Batman as an idea, as opposed to a film about Superman and Batman where you actually get to know the characters? That's what I always thought, because there's so many new sequences about do we need a Superman, and it's almost like it's a film more about the audience watching these people as opposed to these characters individually. Which I mean, what are you guys' thoughts on that?
You know what? I think that's a very good point. Actually, I think I can see where you're coming from, because during the film you have two conflicting theories. You have the Bat of Gotham, dark, criminals are scared of him, he's brutal, and then on the other hand you've got the savior, Jesus Christ, God-like figure. Is he our new rule? A lot of interesting concepts around him. So I can understand that, because the other thing as well is they use a lot of TV in the film about people's review, like you said, what audience think in talk shows and all that. So that's actually a good point, thinking about it.
It's true, because there's not a lot of character development in the movie, as we all know. And you can see why in the movie specifically there was a lot of gossip and a lot of news about Superman's done this, and especially the scene when they in the courthouse where everything blows up and they all blame Superman.
Why? Can I answer that question? Why? They know Superman's not blowing shit up.
No.
So why blow up the courthouse? Other than kill maybe the senator. Sorry.
And like
that's Lex Luthor's plan, but anyway.
It's just it's just
I've got a question for you.
Okay.
A main part. Lex Luthor.
Oh, he was the last thing I wrote on my list.
Okay, that's fine. We can come back to that.
I'll let Wolfie go first.
Lex Luthor.
Did you like him? Did you like Jesse Eisenberg's performance?
He was just... There was too much overacting.
Yeah.
Basically, it reminds me of... we watched it recently, The Room.
Tommy Wiseau.
Where he comes out...
Tearing me apart, Superman!
It literally reminds me of the guy where he comes out and is like, I did not hear that! I did not! Oh, hi Mark! Literally, as I sat there watching Lex Luthor, bear in mind, he's a good actor in other movies.
Yeah.
So you expected him to be a madman. Okay, Lex Luthor's a madman. He's calculated, etc., etc. He can do all these little plans, tactical. Yeah. But in that movie, it was like watching someone being restrained. With a
straight jacket.
That's it, a straight jacket, and him trying to get out and shouting and doing this weird random things that you just don't expect of Lex Luthor. To me, obviously as a villain, you'd say, okay, he's doing something bad, he's doing something calculated, and Superman and Batman should be afraid of him. In that movie, I think he was just scared of himself, to be fair. It was, and the scene where he's bathing Zod, and he's just, I don't know. It's a disaster.
I mean, for me, it's two problems with the character. First of all, it's a bad performance. I'm sorry, Jesse Eisenberg, like you said, he's a good actor, but performance is fucking awful, and it's more like a character like the Riddler than it is Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor is meant to be smart. He goes into the room, he's the smartest person in the room. He's meant to be charming, you know what I mean? He goes and he charms people. He ran for president, and he really kind of won the presidency in the comic books, I think. But you know, he's meant to be this charming kind of thingy guy, but he's just more twitchy, and okay, fair enough, different interpretation. But the character is just kind of, what was his goals? I mean, there was no reason for him to, why does he not like Superman? There was no real explanation. Okay, he grew up in a country with a dictator in East Germany and had to throw flowers at dictators. Okay, elaborate on that. Show me more of his backstory. I mean, again, not saying that none of you of us could do a better job than Zack Snyder, but if we were to do this film, you know, I would maybe humanise Lex Luthor. I mean, I've talked about this before.
I could do
why
that.
Why not start the film at the Battle of Metropolis like it did, and then cut to maybe a sequence of Lex Luthor in LexCorp where he's with his wife or something like that, and his wife dies. You know what I mean? His wife's dead because of Superman or the collateral damage. That'll give you an insight into why he hates Superman so much, you know what I mean, and things like that. But no, they took the easy route with all that kind of stuff.
He is actually, sorry, just to mention about, you mentioned Riddler. So the Riddler in Gotham, he does have that.
In the TV show Gotham.
In the TV show Gotham, he does have that mad stage, but he plays it well.
Yeah.
Whereas Lex Luthor it's even madder than the Riddler, but in a way that doesn't even make sense.
Doesn't make any sense.
Just,
let me ask you guys a question.
Anyway.
Firstly, about this character.
Your turn, come on, Lex Luthor.
Firstly, Lex Luthor's shite. But let's start there. Served no purpose. I didn't understand what he was doing, and quite frankly, I didn't care. I don't like his portrayal. I don't mind people having a different take. I mean, like I said, Batman killing, it didn't bother me as much. But to take Lex Luthor, make him the total opposite of the comics, and flop, then you're gonna get the stick. And that bogey scene I will never forget in my life. So as a purpose, what he did in the film, no. Again, they missed a complete opportunity. They could have had him, like you know, I saying Metallo, for example. They could have had him as the centerpiece to the two's constant conflict, not this weird push a little bit here, push a little bit. That's it. Maybe it could have been a concept of him running for president, and Batman knowing he's evil, or Superman, and the other not thinking he's genuine, or Batman actually knowing he's etc. But let me ask you this question. I was thinking about it, and I was actually checking when the other films came out. At this point, when what's his name, Lex Luthor came out, 2016. Loki has already had 3 films, and it was a fan favorite. Do you think that might have influenced the way they wanted to go for this quirky, smart villain to be a fan favorite?
From everything I've read, the reason that they set up Lex Luthor to kind of be this young billionaire kind of science whiz type thing was because it represented more of the billionaire today, like the Mark Zuckerbergs and all that kind of stuff. So it was more of that realistic performance. But I think there's nothing broke with the comic. I mean, the animated series Lex Luthor is my favourite Lex Luthor. You know, I mean, he's the realistic one that I kind of like the most. But I think that's just stick to the comics with it. I mean, again, don't overcomplicate things. This is the first time Batman and Superman have been on screen together. Keep it simple, make it easy. Everyone's okay.
And that's the thing. I mean, this character Lex Luthor himself. The last few actors that played him all played a weird version.
Yeah, well, Kevin Spacey did okay. He wasn't bad.
But again, he wasn't the Lex Luthor from comics. You say he was a
version of the 70s movies.
That's it, spot on. So if you just kept with a simpler, straight to the point Lex Luthor, develop him afterwards. You don't have to develop him now. That's one of the advantages should be DCU.
Yeah.
But I mean, what about Doomsday? I mean, very, very quickly, I didn't really have a problem with him simply because all he does in the comic books. I know people get pissed off when they say, "Oh, they don't do Doomsday right." No, they don't do Doomsday right because he didn't look right. But incidental. That's not really a problem. He fought Superman, he killed Superman, I've got no problem with him. Maybe they could have saved him for a whole film, but I mean, you just want 2 hours of like a monster screaming, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, have you guys got any problem with Doomsday and how he was portrayed in the film?
No,
he was so short in the movie that it was like, yeah, he fought well.
But what else is he going to do in a film?
That's
you know
it.
what I mean?
It's Doomsday. It's the same as...
You can't exactly have him like reciting Shakespeare and shit.
That's
You know what I mean?
To be fair, if you go to unite Batman and Superman, what other reason than Doomsday? Doomsday is a good alternative to go to.
That's right, yeah.
I don't want a whole film about Doomsday. Because then you're just going to sit there and say, okay, so it's not even Hulk will say more words.
Even a whole film with Doomsday, about halfway through the film, Doomsday would die because of the death of Superman and all that stuff. So again, that's like more of a nitpick. I mean, quickly going off my last few points very, very quickly. Already mentioned Superman's a side character. You already know that kind of thing. You know, really disappointing that they did that. Last few real big problems I've got with the film. First of all, Batman switched from bad to good. Now, this isn't actually a criticism on the Martha scene. I know a lot of people bring up, oh, Martha, and a lot of people miss the point with that scene. It's not because of the name Martha, No, it's because obviously what it means, humanizes Superman, all that kind of stuff. I actually think that was one of the better scenes in the film. My problem is that there should maybe have been a scene after that where Batman goes back to the Batcave, thinks about what he's done, maybe speaks to Alfred and then teams up with Superman, as opposed to 30 seconds later from killing him, okay, now I'm going to team up with you and be your friend. I mean, was that a problem for you guys?
I think at that point, I mean, considering...
At that point, you just wait for the film to get over now. Fucking end!
Oh my God.
End!
No, I mean, at that point, I think, honestly speaking, the whole reason obviously Superman's fighting him is because they've got his mum. So if all of a sudden Batman said, I'm going to have a cup of tea with Alfred, I'll be back in an hour, it wouldn't have worked. Because then, if he's got the opportunity to go back to the cave, why is Superman such an eager rush to fight him?
Maybe it's just more... Well, again, that's the film's fault for not characterising the characters properly, I'd say. And then the last one, again, probably a nitpick of the film, but hey, with this many nitpicks, you've got to go into them, I guess. Right at the end, Superman obviously kills Doomsday with the spear of kryptonite, which obviously affects him really badly. Why the fuck didn't Wonder Woman pick up the fucking spear and just kill Doomsday? You know what I mean? I mean, Superman could very easily have held his own against Doomsday for about 5 minutes. Just get the fucking spear, Wonder Woman, stab him, and Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. It's fucking done.
At the very least, hold that bloody lasso.
Yeah, exactly.
Because she slips up, and I was like, oh, nobody criticised her for that, you know. They should have told her you messed up, Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
So I've got a question for you regarding Wonder Woman. Muffy. Actually, no, sorry, you haven't watched it, have you?
Wonder Woman the movie?
Yeah.
No, not yet.
Having watched Wonder Woman and watching it again now, do you appreciate her character more, or is it the same?
Honestly, no. I actually prefer her in Wonder Woman than her doing this. And the reason for that is, in this, she doesn't... It's more like she's just a thing in this film, you know what I mean? Whereas in the Wonder Woman, you actually get to know her, you get to know what she's about. And she's almost like a completely different person in this film than she is in Wonder Woman, you know what I mean? It's like all the charm that she had in there is just completely gone in this, really. So that's kind of what my thoughts are on it, really. I mean, okay,
I've got a question then for both of you.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe, what would you have done? Maybe a particular scene or something. What would you have done?
Don't have enough time, honestly, because, like I said, maybe in a future episode we'll go into kind of our version of the DCEU and how that would go. But very quickly, it would just be simplify the plot, make things much smoother, focus on Batman and Superman, make Superman actually have some kind of characteristics in there, and just make things a little bit simpler.
Yeah, for me, just have a baseline of what actually happens. Yeah,
and stick to
it. Have the villain know what he's gonna do. Yeah. Not just go mad throughout the movie and just go and then speak to Superman. Oh look, he killed your mother. Oh look, he killed your mother. Yeah, just stupid nonsense stuff. Just there's Batman vs Superman. There's a villain. There's a clear calculated plot as to what's gonna happen, and it follows throughout. So. It's not skipped like we saw in the movie. It's just simple, basically. But we say that, but there you go. But
for me, I think same thing. I think simpler storyline. Take out, honestly speaking, either take out Lex Luthor or Doomsday, but take someone out of the story of Lex Luthor, and keep the story simpler. Simple line, simple base telling. Keep Wonder Woman in it the way she was. I'm not too fussed. That's okay, but keep to the point. Keep the central figure being the two of them. At the end of the film, walk away thinking, okay. Yeah.
I mean, what about scores very quickly? I mean,
I loved it.
Again, I'm not... I mean, obviously, those are all the problems with the film, and I wanted this film to be fantastic.
I loved
it. Yeah, sure you did. I obviously wanted this film to be great and brilliant and stuff, but unfortunately, it's just one of those ones where it wasn't...
What would you give it?
Like I said, the theatrical version is a 3 out of 10 for me. It's just god awful. This one, it did improve things. It did give Superman a tiny bit more characterization.
But that's because you've compared it to the theatrical
Exactly,
version.
yeah. So
But go on. I think that's why.
I think the theatrical version, when I first saw it, it was like a 6, but after watching it again the other day, it's gone down to like a 4.5, I think.
The extended one.
Yeah,
Extended version,
extended 4.5.
So 3, 4.5.
3 to a 4.5, yeah.
Okay.
Now it's a 4.5 out of 5. Out of 10, sorry.
As much as I had a lot of issues with it, overall there were some good scenes I've mentioned. I'd probably say 5.5
For the extended version.
for the extended. Theatrical, don't talk to me.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
theatrical, I'd give it a 4. But the extended version, looking at it again, 5.5, I'd say.
For me, when the cinema version first came out, I thought it was a 5, 4, 4.5, 4.5.
Thinking about it in hindsight, though.
4.5. But now that I watched the extended version, I give the extended version a 4.5.
That's how math works in the UK, guys.
And yeah, the cinema version is just useless, basically. So I just want to quickly 30-second cover.
Yeah.
Where do you want to see it go from here?
Oh, I just honestly,
Yeah.
I just want a good film. I just want a good Justice League film because that's the next thing that's coming out.
Yeah.
I was happy with Wonder Woman. I know that some people they have like different opinions about it and stuff, but you know I enjoyed it for what it was. I didn't think it was the best film of the year or anything like that, but I thought it was fun. Justice League, just a fun film. Just give me a fun film that you can have a bit of fun with, and for God's sake, just make it be like a 3-act structure: beginning, middle, end. Simple, nothing else. That's all I want really. Get your shit together before you do advanced shit. You know what I mean?
Ahmed?
I mean, I touched upon it. I think towards the end of the film, for me, the interpretation I'm going to take away, because I have to take something decent.
Oh, make the characters like they are. Sorry.
Yeah. Keep it in total how it ended. Hope. Wonder Woman took it, turned it into a film of concept of hope. Justice League, please just continue that trend. Tell a good story. Superman come with a badass moment, because I swear to God, if Superman comes with a wooden plank moment, I'm done. Yeah. But hopefully, like I said, same thing. Just honestly, a good film, good action flick, and then that's it. Call it a day.
Yeah.
What would you?
Same for me. I think Batman vs Superman, they tried to overcomplicate it. Just come back to basics, like we said. The next movie, obviously, Justice League, and we will see all of them in there. Hopefully, maybe
Superman won't be in there.
Maybe he won't be in there, but people think it's Supergirl. Anyway, but yeah, just be basic, and give audiences what they want. Don't try to, because I think they're trying to overdo it with we've got this many characters.
So melodramatic all the time.
It's just
nothing.
yeah.
That's another thing as well. Is just to quickly add on. Stop being reactive. I mean,
that's right.
Set out your structure. Okay, I appreciate they took a step back. Set out your structure again and do it. For the fact that we're talking about Suicide Squad 2 for a Man of Steel 2 for a Batman film. What the hell?
I mean, thank God Captain America Civil War came out the same year.
Yeah.
But my God, Suicide Squad is probably even worse than this. I'm not going to talk about that. Say it, but yeah.
Okay, so we all think that people shouldn't watch the movie. Is that what we're saying?
I think watch it.
I'm not going to watch it again. I'll say that. After watching it now, I'm kind of done watching this film. I don't need to.
Would you advise people that haven't watched it to watch it? Purely of the fact that they need to keep up
if
with...
they're on a plane or something like that, then yeah, or if it's on TV, then just check it out. But don't go out of your way to watch it, that's what I would
on
say.
a deserted island. But
if you're someone who wants to follow DCU properly, like I used to with Marvel, then I would say watch it. If you're just looking for a decent film,
then no.
Don't even bother watching
it. I'd agree with Ahmed. If you're into DC and you want to keep up with comics, and you need to know what happens in Batman vs Superman to watch Justice League. Oh, does he? Spoiler alert.
See how we didn't even cover that bit? Like, no, he's dead. No, he's not. He's alive.
He's alive. Yeah, it's don't watch the movie. Just don't watch it. Okay. So I think on that note, is there anything else anyone wants to cover?
Just social networks, I guess.
No. Apart from that, I mean the movie.
We've got one question quickly. I would say then.
Did you just whisper?
Yeah.
I saw that. 1 minute left, guys. Gonna hurry up.
Basically, quick review. I just want to see it. Keep it for the future. Justice League. How much out of 10?
The future Justice League.
Yeah,
Justice League. The film coming out. How much do you give out of 10? Prediction. 7.
Yeah, I'm gonna say a 7. 8. I want it to be a 7.
8.
8. I think it's gonna be an 8.
Okay.
Right. Okay. On that note, we'd like to thank you guys for listening again. As usual, hopefully you guys watch it. If you don't watch it,
fuck off.
That will be edited out afterwards.
I'm in charge of the editing.
But like always, we'd appreciate your comments, what you thought of the movie. If you did watch it, if you didn't watch it, just comment anyway.
Who do you prefer, Batman or Superman? There you go. That's
there
your
you
question
go.
this week.
That's your question for this week. You can see us on. You can follow us on Instagram at Roadman Reviews, Twitter Roadman _reviews 1. YouTube Roadman Reviews. It'll also be on Soundcloud under Roadman Reviews.
But also on Facebook as well.
Facebook Roadman Reviews. A lot of them are Roadman Reviews, and if you've been following us ever since the start, then you know where we are.
Yeah.
And honestly, as well, those people who've subscribed, thank you.
I know, it means a lot.
And those guys that listen every week, we do look out and we do see how many listens we get each week and how it
I just
rises.
also kind of want to say something really nice to the DC fanboys out there. You know, being a little bit mean, so please don't kill us. We've all got good lives. We've got to enjoy, our lives at the moment. So please, it would be good. But
on that note, thank you for listening again, and we'll see you next week. Bye.